All right, so I'm sure you're dying to see what's inside this box. Stay tuned, and I'll show you in just a second. So this is the final production version of the Thermaltake Level 10 case. Absolutely incredible. It came out, I'm not sure, maybe like a year ago, and it was like a full concept piece then. This is the actual production version. The demand was so high for it. It was so cool looking. Everybody loved it so much that they actually built it beyond a concept. And now this is the actual production piece that you're looking at. It is absolutely incredible. It's built out of all aluminum entirely from just top to bottom. It's one big piece of metal. There's no plastic on here. And it was built by BMW USA Design Works. So it's got a really, really cool style. Now, taking a look at this thing, obviously, this is not for everybody. This thing is absolutely humongous. I mean, just look at it. I mean, it's bigger than my torso. And it's also pretty heavy. It weighs about 50 pounds with absolutely nothing in it, just the way it comes. But it is really cool, and it's definitely going to be a talking piece in your house because people are going to see this and then they're going to go, well, what the hell's that? And it looks absolutely incredible on your desk. So it's definitely going to be a big talking piece and going to be a big point for your computer. If you want to show off your computer and you like to show off your stuff, this is what you got to get. Now, basically what's happening here is this is a big aluminum backboard right here. You're going to put your motherboard in here. Your power supply goes up here, all your optical drives go up here, and then your hard drives go in here. What's really nice, though, is that there's this back common area. And if I flip this thing over, you're going to see have some locks back here. And basically, this gets you into the back area, which is like a little gap. And basically, all your cables are going to go through there. So you're not going to see any cables inside of this thing, which is really, really nice. It makes your cable management look really sharp. And of course, since everything's covered to begin with, it's going to look good no matter what. Because basically, in the end, regardless of what you have on the inside, from the outside, it's going to look like this, you know, pretty much no matter what. But sometimes you want to show off the inside. Now, it's important to note, right up here, we do have a few things. Now, this is technically the front. This is the front of your case. This is where you have all this good stuff. So this entire rim up here glows red. And then here's your front panel, basically a power button, reset button. You have eSATA, input and output for your headset and microphones, and then 4 USB 2.0 ports, and then that's basically it as far as that goes. You can hold up to 6 hard drives in these caddies, and each one of these little things in between is a fan cooling that hard drive specifically. So it's basically a bunch of individual fans, but they're very, very quiet. Now, I'm going to move over here to this, because this is what you get with it. There's some pretty important stuff here, and I basically can't show you the rest of the case until I get this. So I'm going to open it up for you. I'm going to show you guys what's in here. The most important part, the one that I need to move on, is basically the set of keys that come with it. This is what lets you open up that back panel, which is usually locked. You also get a very nice level 10 keychain, in case you want to show off that you do have the level 10. But basically, you know, a couple screws, PC speaker, zip ties, and a manual are what's in here. But most importantly, the keys. Now, I'm going to flip this thing over. And I'm going to show you the inside because it is very, very cool. Basic PC locks. I haven't seen these in a while. You have 2 locks, and then you have 2 thumb screws. These are the thumb screws that stay on, kind of like on Lian Li cases that don't fall off. I love them. One of my favorite things in the world. And basically, it slides this way, and the whole thing comes off. It is extremely easy to take off and put on. Very nice. I like that. It's very important. It shows a lot of build quality. Now, looking at the back end, you're going to see that common space I was telling you about. Basically, you do have a CPU cooler access ports. You can change out your CPU coolers without moving your motherboard tray. You have a generous amount of holes for wiring over here and down here. Lots of mounting holes for all sorts of different types of motherboards, eATX, ATX, micro ATX. They'll all fit in here, and this entire tray is actually removable. So this is a removable motherboard tray, and I'll show you how that works in just a second. But it is important to note that all over here, all your hard drives are pre-connected. So basically, you don't have to hook up SATA connections. You do, but you know, here you put a Molex in here, and that's going to power all your SATAs. They automatically know when there's a hard drive in here, and I'll show you really quickly in a second how when you use these little bays that it comes with, you can install 2.5-inch SSDs or 2.5-inch hard drives, or you can do full-size 3.5-inch hard drives. But this is basically all it right here. This is the full common area that I was telling you about, and this little thing right here you're looking at. This is very important. This is basically the locking mechanism that takes care of everything. So this is going to let you open up the front of the case. This is going to let you remove and insert the hard drives. It lets you do just about everything. And basically, if you want to use it, you kind of pull this tab out, and then now everything is unlocked. See, it's free. So once it's free, basically you're good to go, and you can basically start opening stuff up. So I'm going to move this thing around and show you by opening up this optical drive first. See right up here? There you go. So if you want to put an optical drive in here, there is where you're going to slide them in, right in there. Very simple to slide them in right there. If you so wanted to, you could remove this whole box to do any type of modding if you wanted to with screws, but it's not meant to come off super simple. But as you can see, it does give you that really nice, let's see if I can get in there, really nice little area to run your cables. Again, no one's ever going to see any of the cables on this thing. Same goes over here. This is where your power supply is going to go. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of cables coming out the back of the power supply, so they do give you a pretty thick little spot here to throw all your cables through. And basically, again, you're going to hide all your cables. This is going to be the side with the cable, and then this is going to be the other side where the fan exhaust is. If you want to put in a rubber gasket here, that'll probably help with the sound. But it's a pretty quiet case, and I was very surprised and very happy to see how quiet it was. So that's basically your hard drive and your power supply. Now let's move down here. I'm going to show you the motherboard area. This is very, very cool. Now basically, when it opens up, you have a big exhaust right here. That's going to be necessary because you're going to have a lot of hot hardware in there, and this is going to bring in cool air for your video cards. But it's also important to note that on the inside of this, you do have a nice padded intake here, and that's going to let a lot of cool air come in for your video cards because, again, this is going to be most likely packing some pretty serious heat. You're not going to be buying this quite expensive case. It's really nice and putting a bunch of low quality stuff in here. So that's very nice. Also, right up here on top, another same thing, a meshed grilled intake, and that's going to be for your CPU cooler. It's going to let a lot of cool air in there through there. And then also, of course, as you can see, there are two 20mm fans, 120mm fans. There's one right here as your exhaust, and then there's a secondary one over here in the front that is in your intake. So basically, you have two options as far as fan goes, and those are going to let you cool, keep an airflow in your case. Now, a lot of people are going to use water cooling in these cases. It is possible to use water cooling instead of these fans, but you're kind of limited as to how big of a radiator you can put. Now, it's also important to note, like I said, lots of space for wires, very important, and everything is pre-wired. So your front panel connectors, they already go kind of through where they're supposed to go. They're already hanging out here. You basically just put your motherboard in and plug them in. Now, I also mentioned that this is a removable motherboard tray. These are basically the screws you're going to be using to remove that motherboard tray. So if you want to take the whole thing out to put your motherboard in, you're going to pull this screw, and there's two more up here at the top, and those are basically going to be the entire thing. Your entire motherboard is going to come sliding right on out, and basically we'll let you assemble the motherboard on here before you stick it in case you have any problems with your cooling. But I don't think you'll have any problems installing the motherboard directly in here. It's very, very simple. The 2x120mm fans are going to keep everything nice and cool, and they are attached to the motherboard tray. It's important to note they are going to be pulling air, obviously, from this front right here, which, again, is going to suck in cool air, and then the exhaust is going to come out the top. The motherboard cooling is basically just taken care of by those two fans. Because everything else is separate, you're pretty much keeping away all the heat from the other components. So they're not going to interfere or pollute the temperature of your motherboard area. Now we'll move on to the hard drives now. I showed you everything else. The hard drives are interesting on their own. Like I said, they're all individually stored in here. 2.5-inch drives, 3.5-inch drives, they all fit. Basically, to get these out, all I got to do is that latch I showed you on the back has like a little, you'll see the tabs line up. Once they line up perfectly, you can basically just pull it out and you get this. Now, this is your caddy. The way it works is you do have a hole there for a fan, but basically, if you're putting a 3.5-inch drive, it's going to fit the whole thing. There's mounting holes for both. And if you're going to do a 2.5-inch drive, you're only going to mount them on this side or on one side only. I want you guys to see what's in there. It's kind of cool. See if you can zoom in there. It is a SATA backplane already installed. So you have a SATA port and power already pre-installed. So you don't have to worry about wiring them up once they're in there. You pretty much just slide them in and then hook up the SATA on the back end and you're good to go. Also, that red button back there, can't really push it without blocking the shot, but that red button's going to let that whole backplane know that there is a drive in there, that it is being used, and to go ahead and power that. And then basically right above it, up here, this is that fan I was telling you about. All of these are individual little fans for each hard drive, which is really, really cool. They actually travel down through here, but this one's a fan, this one has a fan, this one has a fan, this one has a fan. They're all individual fans, so that's a lot of fans to make sure that your hard drives stay cool, and that's going to keep them lasting a really long time, because the hotter a hard drive gets, the less likely it is to run for, or to be reliable over a long period of time. And basically, if you want to put the hard drive back in, you just slide it back in, and then you got to make sure the back latch is it's got to be down a little bit, basically, and it'll slide in, and you let go of the back latch, and now it's locked will not come out no matter what. And that's basically it. So it's actually simple. It's kind of weird to describe something that's so huge and grand and big and say it's simple, but it actually is. Once you get your motherboard mounted in here, you know, and you have your power supply up there, your optical disk drives up here, your hard drives in here, it's all going to get wired together through that back panel, and that makes it really easy to use. And also for people that aren't very good at actually doing their own wiring, you don't have to worry about it. All the wiring gets hidden in this back, and there's a lot of space back there to get all that wiring done, and it just ends up working out really nice. So beautiful case. Definitely not for everyone. It is huge. I wouldn't say it's an overclocker's dream, but it's definitely you know, a computer enthusiast dream. If you're going to put hardware in there, it'll definitely handle the temperatures. Lots of storage space, 6 drives, and then 3 5¼ up here. Really beautiful design. It will definitely make people look twice, and it's pretty sweet. Thermaltake Level 10, designed by BMW. Nice stuff. If you have any questions on it, feel free to email me, and I'll see you guys next time. For more information on the Thermaltake Level 10 full tower case, type in T925-3022 into any major search engine. For Computer TV, I'm Albert.